New York Jets general manager Darren Mougey having himself one hell of a busy day, probably his busiest in season, taking over as the Jets general manager. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active New York Jets message board on the web. So Darren Mougey getting busy today. A couple of moves. He didn't have a choice. Let's talk about that first. Quincy Williams, as you know, left the game the other day with a shoulder injury. Aaron Glenn said tests pending. Well, tests came back, results came back, and Quincy Williams lands on IR. This was the first little bit of news that popped across my Twitter feed. I believe it was Rich Cimini. I could be wrong. Not long after that, we see that Marcelino McCrary-Ball, the second of three starting linebackers, he lands on IR. So now, if you're the Jets, if you're Darren Mougey, you're down two linebackers. Not a great spot to be in, let's be honest. So you lose Williams, you lose, I nearly said Mougey, you lose McCrary-Ball. So the Jets go out, they make a couple of moves. They grab Mark Robinson from the Patriots practice squad. He's a guy who doesn't have a ton of starting experience. He's appeared in 41 games. Only 4 of them starts, primarily a special teams guy. They then go out and sign free agent Ben Neiman, who Aaron Glenn is familiar with because he played 17 games last year in Detroit. His career best 70 tackles a couple years ago in 22. Has also played for the Chiefs, Cardinals, and Broncos. He, again, goes to the Jets practice squad. He is not added to the active roster. And then the trade, I like it. I know there are some concerns already because of penalties. I get it. But Jarvis Brownlee, a young corner who went to Louisville, had the chance to watch him when I was down in Mobile. Check it out if you get a chance. There is a play he made. I might even throw it up here for you in a second if I can find it. Play he made that I had in the archives, the old, college archives. Let's see if I can swing this without glasses on. Oh, I think I got it. So, yeah, Brownlee, see if I can pull this up. Jarvis Brownlee, he's played the slot. He's played the boundary. Look, the Jets are so poor at safety right now. I know Malachi Moore is moving over there, but I wonder if they might have some thoughts of giving him a look there because really, as much as bad as Stevens has been, unless they plan on benching him, which would be justified, but at the same time surprising based on how much money he's making. You don't see guys generally get benched that quickly, but he did give up another touchdown last week, which obviously didn't go over well. Here's this interception I wanted to show you. Let's pull this up real quick. This is Brownlee when he was with FSU not very long ago, and for some reason it's not coming up. There we go. That's one angle. Don't even worry about that one because you can't appreciate it properly until they flip to the other angle and show it again. This ball, while he's on his side, Rover is his guy. Here we go. It should be popping up here in a second. Brownlee, deep ball, one-on-one, contested. The receiver knocks it away, pops out of his hands, squeezes it with his calves, and stays up on his toes to make sure it does not touch the ground. That's a hell of a play. Every time I hear the name Jarvis Brownlee, that is the first play that comes to mind because you watch those, man. Those plays just stick with you. It's like, my God. Started 14 games last year as a rookie, so impressive. Was good enough to start. Problem is flags. And you're a Jets fan and you hear that and you're like, maybe not the best move. Can we get our guys to stop committing penalties before we go out and trade for guys that other teams want to unload because they commit too many penalties? 9 flags last year, 3 for defensive pass interference, 3 flags already through 3 games this year, 1 flag for pass interference. And if you look at the scouting report, I posted it earlier, the football game plan, Emory Hunt scouting report from his draft guide, he says he gets handsy. And that was something we saw a little bit down in Mobile while we were there. But he's a skilled player. Again, as I said, he managed to start 14 games as a rookie. Seen some responses on social media. A couple Titans fans not thrilled because they feel like he's got some potential, and if he can clean that up, Our friend Scott Mason tweeted out that he spoke to someone familiar with the Titans who said basically they're tired of trying to fix him. Is that they appreciate that he's talented, but the penalties have been going on too long, and they're tired of working on it with him. So we'll see what happens there. Got a few in the chat here from Tony and Rob. Tony says should have made these moves prior to the season. Well, I mean, look, I think they thought Stevens was going to be good enough. And again, I don't know that they're not going to work. You know, I saw our good friend Dom C. He tweeted out, "Hey guys, Michael Carter played safety in college, and Brownlee's better suited for the slot," which I agree with that. So that could be a move that would surprise me because I think Carter's the better slot. But again, if he's the more experienced safety. So we'll see. I don't want to speculate too much. Just kind of planting that seed. Like this might not be just for a corner. This might be for a guy they think they can move around a little bit. And yeah, the Stevens signing stings right now. It's and that's a possibility. Tony mentions that in the chat. We said this when the Jets signed Stevens and then drafted Thomas. There were a few of us who were like, okay, well, he played safety for the Ravens. Maybe the Jets have a plan to move him to safety. He's been atrocious at corner, so maybe now they're saying, okay, look, we have to find a way to get a return on our investment here. We gave this guy huge money. He's stinking up the joint. Maybe there's a plan to move him there and let Brownlee play the boundary. So either way, right now, this team is giving up 30 points a game. I don't know that any one player is going to shift or change dramatically. You got to tackle, which Brownlee, to me, that was one of the things I really liked about his game that I'd seen in my notes. And when I went back and looked at some of his highlights, doesn't shy away from the physicality of the game. Not a soft corner. So that's something the Jets could use. But he, too, has had some missed tackles. So we'll see how that goes. Rob says, evening, Glenn, in the States at Liverpool. Oh, I'm from the States in Liverpool. Just got back from watching LFC. That's Liverpool Football Club for those Americans who don't follow soccer. I don't, but I just, having a little fun here. Brownlee or Thomas, someone has to replace Stevens. Yeah, I mean, again, don't rule out a move to safety for him. For Stevens, that is, and either Brownlee or Thomas playing corner. That would be, that'd be a better all-around scheme, I think, because Stevens, he's been terrible. I mean, you saw it last week, and the broadcast said it on the touchdown pass to Mike Evans. They said the Bucs come to the line, that 100% looked like a run play. And Baker looked over and saw who was covering Mike Evans and was like, this is gonna be a quick slant for an easy touchdown. And it was. Mike Evans took a step, boxed him out. Stevens had no chance. Easy touchdown, Tampa. So I don't know how much more you can watch that. If you're Aaron Glenn, no matter how much you pay the guy, you got to do something. So it appears there is excuse me. It appears there is some chance that a move will be made there. Let's see. Can we sign a safety? Cisco ain't cutting. Tony, I was going to bring that up because if you listen to this show, you know that I predicted Andre Cisco would be the breakout player on defense for the Jets this year. He's another guy who has something about, I don't know if it's one Jets drive. I don't know if it's the uniforms. I don't know if it's MetLife Stadium, the Jets locker room, whatever it is. The number of guys who come to this team and play their worst football ever is just, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Andre Cisco, and somebody said in the offseason, when I said I thought Cisco was going to break out, that he misses too many tackles. And he misses a handful. You look back historically, he misses like 9, 10, 11 tackles a year. I think those are the exact numbers actually over the last 3 seasons, not in that order. I think he had 1 year he missed 9, 1 he missed 10, 1 he missed 11. He got 5 already through 3 games. And for my math wizards out there, that's well, I'm not a math wizard, so I'm not going to be cocky about it. I might be getting this wrong. But according to my math, that's 30 over the course of a season. I'm not saying he's going to miss 30. But that's the pace he's currently on. He's gone from a guy who misses a tackle every couple of games to he's got 5 missed tackles in 3 games. Is Andre Cisco going to be the next guy who comes here, young player, has some talent, has done some things well, needs to get better in other areas, and just falls apart? It's maddening. It's you don't want to overreact because it's 3 games, but it is frustrating. It is frustrating. And speaking of that, I keep saying I want to not just plug the message boards at Jet Nation, which I always lead the show by telling you it's the most active on the web. find a topic that's hot, that people are firing away their opinions, and that's one of them. Lot K Tailgaters started a thread on the Jet Nation message boards. You can go there now, check it out yourself, chime in, share your opinion. But he's basically saying you're not going to change the culture in 3 games. People flip it out. People get mad at Aaron Glenn. And I've talked about this. I understand. I get it. The fact that this team is still as bad as they were last year, you could argue, well, no, they're not quite worse. They're not Jeff Ulbrich bad. But they're bad right now. Very bad. And that wasn't supposed to be the case. This is the argument, right? You can't expect immediate results. We saw immediate results when Bill Parcells came to town. We saw immediate results when Rex Ryan's first game ever. That defense almost pitched a shutout. First game number 1. I think they gave up 9 points, 7 points, something like that. Bill Parcells, what was the score of his first game against Seattle? 41-10, 41-3, I forget. I remember watching that game in a Uno Pizza in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Was it Uno's? No, Chicago. Pizza Chicago? Or was it like Uno Chicago Pizza Grill? Whatever it was. I don't know. But I was in a Colorado Springs pizza joint, bar, restaurant, whatever. Watching that game. Jeff Graham, couple of touchdowns. Neil O'Donnell looked good. Corbett, I think, had 2. Who had the last one? Keyshawn? I think it was 5 TD passes. I could be wrong. I mean, cut me some slack. We're talking like 26 years ago. But yeah, we've seen it. We've seen Rex do it. We saw Parcells do it. Coaches that come in, put their stamp on the team. And as I've said, this is not a team. This isn't the team that Joe Douglas inherited. This is not the team that Mike McCagnon inherited. You have multiple All-Pros on your defense. As I said, well, now with Quincy out, but you had an All-Pro at every level. And you're giving up 30 a game. It hasn't gotten even a little bit better. Not from last year and not from week 1 of this year. So that's why Aaron Glenn's under so much heat. I will say, I saw this tweet circulating of Aaron Glenn clapping after the game, and people are getting on him for it. Guys, really? Is this the point we're at? He's clapping after the game. You know what he's probably doing there? There's probably a player moping, down, beating himself up, which is fine. I have no problem with that. Some coaches will say, hey, pick your head up. Let's get off the field. You want to, whine, complain, whatever, do that in the locker room. Let's go. Pick your head up, get in the locker room, let's go. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm supposed to believe that because Aaron Glenn was clapping, like he was celebrating, congratulating somebody. That's Robert Saleh. Say what you will about Aaron Glenn. We're really, really reaching at this point with some of the criticisms I've seen of him. And I've criticized him. I've said I think he's a little bit thin-skinned with the media. He doesn't do well with being asked questions he doesn't want to hear. Getting snippy, getting short, getting a little bit personal. I don't know if personal is the right word. He said, Samini said the other day, look, Sauce Gardner was out for a big chunk of the second half. He comes back for like 2-3 plays, and Samini missed it. All right, it's a couple of plays. You're taking notes while you're watching the game. You might miss a guy come back on the field for 2-3 plays. And Samini says to him, what's the update on Sauce? Oh, make sure you're watching the games. I mean, and look, I know people love it because everyone hates the media and everyone's, that's so terrible. Go get him, Aaron. Yeah, that's so awesome. Come on, be professionals. Not like Sauce played 25 snaps and Samini asked, did he play today? He asked for an injury update for a guy who missed a huge chunk of the game, minus the last few snaps. It's nuts. It's nuts to me sometimes. The stuff that the reaching that we'll do to go after these guys. Had a few concerns, or not even concerns, just questions. All right, I get that I'm going to bring up a few things, and they're not the biggest issues. It's not like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. Oh, this is why the team isn't winning. I get it, they're small. But a few things the Jets have done that are head scratchers. You brought in Andrew Beck. He was the first move Darren Mougey made as a GM. It looked obvious early on he was going to make the roster. We were hearing his name a lot early in camp. He was getting some targets. He was making some plays as a pass catcher. Watch him on film. He looks like a solid player. So I'm like, all right. I'm not saying Andrew Beck's going to light the world on fire, but I think this guy has a chance to be a factor. And he still does. It's still early. But through 3 games, he's playing 5 snaps a game. Not a catch, not a carry. I don't expect him to run the ball. Minus maybe a goal line short yardage if they think he can do that. But it's just weird. You keep a guy on the roster. I mean, and I get he plays specials, but it'd be nice if you like Stone Smart, you added him. And this is another thing Dom mentioned, because I mentioned, who did I mention? I already forgot what my original point was. It may have been Beck, actually, yeah. I tweeted about Beck and said, hey, this guy's playing 5-6 snaps a week. Doesn't touch the ball. And kind of thought in the preseason he'd have a role. And then and the follow-up from Dom says, now do Stone Smart. It's like, yeah, good point. But at least in the case of Smart, as I said, he's competing with guys. There's other tight ends on the roster. Beck is it. Beck's the only fullback. Thought they'd have a role. No role. First guy they went out and got. Keep him on the roster. Plenty active in the preseason. Look, maybe the plan is once this offense gets moving, if it ever gets moving, to incorporate some more use of the fullback. Just a little bit surprised to this point that he hasn't really seen the field. Isaiah Williams. You go out and you sign him to return kicks. Good kick returner in college. Good footwork. Thought he could be a screen type guy who can make some plays after the catch. Again, given the fact that your receivers stink and one of them's hurt, you figure he'd be active and playing. Braylon Allen's returning kicks the other day, who I like. I'm not knocking Braylon Allen. I just don't think Braylon Allen's going to be the threat as a return man that Williams would be. And for whatever reason, Williams not back. I don't think he wasn't even active unless I'm mistaken. I don't recall seeing him at any point. So you've got your backup running back who's, a 240-pound runner running straight into the pile on kick returns. All right, fair enough. That's another head scratcher, but they're going to do what they're going to do. And Cisco, I mentioned already. That was one of the 4 that I jotted down. Andre Cisco to go from, missing a couple tackles here and there to, and look, it's a problem for the whole defense right now. And I do hear people saying Steve Wilks is the worst coach on this staff. And he might be. He might be. It's like I said the other day. You don't want to go crazy over this stuff because it's so early, but you also can't just not talk about it. You can't say, well, I'm going to go on the air and we're just going to talk about last year because this year is too early to worry about anything. Or we're going to talk, but we're not going to mention any of the bad stuff. No, we're going to, it's mostly bad stuff. And it's not a situation that you want to be in. You're sitting there at 0-3. My question is, if you're going to, if let's do a best case scenario. Best case scenario, you beat Miami this Monday, but then you're losing your next couple. At 1-5, do you start a fire sale? You need picks. You don't have a lot of picks. Darren Mougey, he's going to have some decisions to make. I kind of thought coming into the year, whether we like it or not, because again, love the player, but Quincy Williams, I thought he could be we're 1-5, let's sell some assets off. I thought he would be a guy that could get you something back. Because as I said, I thought he was going to have a 10-sack season. We'll see what happens. He's missing 4 games now, so that's highly unlikely. But look, his career high is 3, and he already had 1.5, 2 through the first 3 games, and some quarterback hits. It just makes sense, right? I'm not pretending to be Nostradamus, and he might only finish the year with 3. But a guy who can run, a guy who's as explosive as him, you put him in a defense where he's going to be asked to blitz a lot more. It just made sense to say this guy's going to get to the quarterback a bunch this year. And like I said, he's got a few quarterback hits. He's got a couple of sacks, but now he's out for 4 games. But I thought if this guy is in a new system where you're going to see his sack numbers improve significantly, and he's on the last year of his deal, and a team needs a pass rusher or just an all-pro linebacker as the trade deadline approaches, like you might be able to get something significant for him. You're not giving up Quincy and a 7 to get a 6. That's not happening. But if you're Muji, do you do that? Do you start calling, Brees Hall thought he might be a factor, but, you had that big first game. If he doesn't do something over the next few weeks, he's not going to have any value. And someone else, how about this one? And I have to preface this because people get very emotional and very irrational. I'm not saying I want the Jets to trade this player, but I can see the logic behind the thought. If you view this team similar to the way I do right now, and I know a lot of Jets fans right now feel the same way, you're bad this year. You're going to own a top 5 pick, possibly top 3. The quarterbacks in this class aren't blowing anybody away right now. If by the time the draft comes around, there is one quarterback who you think can be the guy, the Saints are picking him. The Saints were down 35-3 before the half the other day. They are getting the number 1 pick. New Orleans Saints are picking first overall. Put them on the clock now. That could change, but you know what I mean. They're not as bad as the Jets. The Jets picking behind the Saints. So they're probably going to be top 3. Who are you taking that's going to turn things around in 1 year? Nobody. There's not a quarterback available who's going to turn things around 1 year. So you're going to draft the quarterback, maybe Lenore Sellers, who's, in my mind, the guy the Jets would most likely target. Best case scenario, you're a year or 2 away from Lenore Sellers being like ready to carry you to a playoff appearance or something of that nature if things go really well. So really, best case scenario right now is that in 3 years, the Jets are playoff contenders. You know whose contract expires in 3 years and who's going to be 30 years old and has a lot of trade value? Quinnen Williams. And I'm not saying I want you to trade Quinnen Williams. I'm not saying get this guy out because I see people, he's overrated. He doesn't make big plays in big spots. That's because the team stinks, so there are no big spots. There are no games where they need him to. Well, I guess you could make the case this week, right? If he made a play against Tampa on that final drive. But, I mean, the DBs and a couple of those throws from Baker. Going back and watching that final drive, like that ball that's when Cisco was on the coverage with Egbuka, that ball was perfect. Nobody's stopping that. Nobody. And Egbuka had the catch early on, the one-hander against it. You're not defending that. The saying goes, folks, there's no defense for the perfect throw. When a quarterback puts it in a spot where only his guy can get it, by definition, like only his guy can get it. And that's what we saw on the throw to Egbuka. There was nothing wrong with that coverage from Sauce. The broadcast said it. Great coverage, better throw. And then another great throw to Cisco. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So Quinnen Williams is a guy who some, not all, it's probably the vast minority. Some Jets fans are down on. I'm not down on him. I love him. I think he's worth the money. High character guy, high performer. Love the guy. But if you're a team that's trying to add assets and you're a few years away from being good, which, as I said, Aaron Glenn has told us that without telling us that. Aaron Glenn has said now at several different pressers, I've been here before. I know what it takes. And then he lays out the map. First you go 3 and whatever. Then you go 6 and whatever. Then you go on a roll and you make the playoffs. There's nothing you're going to say that doesn't convince me Aaron Glenn is looking at this as playoffs by year 3. So in the final year of Quinnen Williams' deal, when he turns 30 years old, you might be a playoff team. You don't think Quinnen Williams, who went to Alabama, I mean, God, he'll be old enough by then. He might forget what winning is like, and he might not care. But if he has any taste at all for winning, and he's tired of 6, 7, 8, whatever it'll be by then, years of losing, you don't think an elite player? And look, I know I said the same thing about Garrett Wilson. I get it. I mean, Garrett wasn't coming up on free agency. Well, it was a couple of years to tag and all that. But I was a little surprised. I thought Garrett Wilson, listening to his post-game pressers, listening to him sound like the world's saddest man, I was like, I'm not so sure he's going to stay here. I thought he might have his agent call the Jets and ask for a trade. And I was wrong. I admit it. And that's what someone said to me the other day. I said, what about a Quinnen deal? Like he's going to be 30 by the time they might be good. You're going to give a 30-year-old a 5-year deal? I mean, that's probably what I want, but that's neither here nor there right now. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sitting here banging the table saying deal Quinnen. Quinnen stinks. He's overrated. He doesn't make big play. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying from a sensible, logical standpoint, you need assets. You need draft picks. You're 3 years away from competing. Your best player, arguably your best player, is 3 years away. He's a free agent when you think you're going to be good. And that's, 30. He might still have a couple good years after that, but 32, 33 is when the downfall will begin production-wise. So I wouldn't rule it out, folks. And like I said, I'm not sitting here banging the table for it. I'm not going to say that again. But you get these fans, like you pitch an idea and you explain why, and they, oh my God, I can't believe you want to trade. No, I'm just looking at it. Okay, what makes the most sense for this team right now? A couple, 2, 3 premium picks, or wasting the next 3 years of his career on a team that's not going to go anywhere? Give it some thought, folks. Give it some thought. Back in the chat. Let's see. Drums, how we doing? Drums has given up 30 a game. The offense hasn't been going 3 and out nearly as much as we're used to. Yeah, the offense has had a little success. I thought Tyrod Taylor, I thought he was good. The film shows it. He missed some throws. It's like one of those things, like, pick your poison. You want the quarterback who doesn't see the open receiver, Tyrod, or the guy who can't hit the open receiver, Fields? And I don't mean to pick on Fields, and I still hope he turns it around, and I get it, talented, all that, but that was ugly the other day. Like I said, lowest 1.1 QBR. Worse than any game Zach Wilson ever played as a Jet. But of course, look, Fields has been the better pro. Let's not kid ourselves. Mike says, Mougey really concerns me, giving me Mike McCagnon vibes, a GM that has to compensate for poor player evaluation by trading for trading for vets. Well, I mean, I don't mind the day 3 swaps. That's sort of price of doing business. And I feel like even Brownlee, like, to me, he's played well enough. He's shown enough potential. To me, that's good value. I don't mind that so much. Getting Briggs has been a nice player. Briggs right now looks like one of his better moves. So I don't hate messing with day 3 picks a whole lot, but I do worry about, as I've said a million times, not fortifying the D line, not getting a second receiver. Like, he's made some big mistakes, but they're just not freaking me out quite at this point. Mike also says Jets fans talk negatively about Joe Douglas, but he identified. Look, if I'm not going to do the Joe Douglas thing. Everyone knows I supported the guy, but if you just look at his drafts up and down, I mean, remove the Madden mindset, remove the you have to hit on 95% of your picks or you suck. Like, live in reality for a moment. Look at what percentage of NFL draft picks actually make rosters and play for a few years. There's not many. And then look up and down Joe Douglas's rosters and see how many of his guys are in the league, starting, second stringers, Pro Bowlers, all pros. It's not a bad resume. Fans don't want to believe that because the record sucked, but you know what? So do the coaches, and that's where I put that blame. But again, that's all water under the bridge. Stop talking and win already. Well, I hope you don't mean me, Matthias. I mean, that'd be weird, wouldn't it, if I just came on here and stared at the camera until they just won a game? You might not hear a word from me all season, which some people might prefer, which is fine. Tony says Wilkes is the weak link on the coaching staff. Hard to argue at this point. Like, as I said, even the broadcast said it last week against Josh Allen. They're like, what are you doing? You're playing the same vanilla coverage against no matter what the situation. Josh Allen knows exactly what you're doing because you're not changing up. So that was almost, I don't want to say suspect. That's what, as the kids today say. But it was weird. It's like, why aren't they mixing it up? Why aren't they doing anything different? Drums says Wilkes didn't have a great track record. I don't expect him to be here next year. And listen, that's a point that I've made with, in conversations with other Jets fans. I think this whole coaching staff, I don't think Aaron Glenn could have done any better. I think he got the best he can get. Tanner Engstrand, look, it's hard to knock him because, as I said, we are seeing guys open. But I don't think you intentionally, like, when you're a rookie head coach, I don't think you ideally say, I'm going to bring in like 5 guys who have never done it before. I want I don't want any experience. I don't want an O-line coach who's been there and done that. And that was one of my biggest concerns, right? Is that you have a very young, very talented O-line, and you're bringing in an O-line coach who's never done it. Tight end coach never done it. I've been through it a million times. I'm kind of ad nauseum. Mike, you just struck a nerve because I had the same thought the other day. I said it a few weeks ago. You let go of Eccles and JBC. I thought Eccles should have stayed. I thought they both should have stayed. Liked them both. Eccles is making an impact with the Steelers. I hadn't even looked, Mike. Not today. I looked a couple weeks ago. I actually did look at JBC yesterday because he popped into my head as the corners started to struggle. And they're having problems at safety, which he's also played. JBC's not playing a lot with the Browns. And then I had the thought, I was like, I got to see if Eccles is playing in Pittsburgh. So Mike says he's having an impact. I'm going to have to take a look and see. Stevens looking like he's about to give up another 1,000 yards this season. It feels like he's already given up 1,000, doesn't it? Mougey's first-time GM. Has to be here a while before he gets settled in. Yeah, I get that, Harlan. I'm not saying let's write the guy off after 3 games. But my criticisms of him are well documented. People are probably tired of hearing me say it. He's done like every GM, he's done some good things, he's done some bad things. The frustrating part about the bad things is they were blatantly obvious to me, in my mind. Like, needing another receiver was huge. Needing an infusion of young talent on the D-line was huge. Do you see Deion Walker 2 weeks ago with the Bills? It may have been this past. Did they play Thursday? Whenever the Bills last played, I had to suffer through somebody tweeting out a video of like Deion Walker has arrived, and I'm just watching him like maul people and then just shaking my head. Guy went outside the top 100. I was like, to me, that guy was a top 15 talent, and I understand passing on him in the first round because of the back issues. But once he started getting to pick 40 and 50, it's like, grab, 60, 70, grab this guy, potential top 15 talent this late, and Buffalo gets him. Heartbreaking. Let's see. Drums put Aaron Glenn back there on punt returns. Drums, if you recall, Drums, I get what you're saying. Aaron Glenn is a rookie coming out of Texas A&M, and this is the unpredictability of the draft. We know Aaron Glenn was a very good player with the Jets, great player with the Jets. Punt returns, not the case. How does that happen? He was one of the top punt returners in the country out of Texas A&M. May have been number 1 in average. May have. Again, we're going back 30-plus years now. I don't remember exactly. But he was one of the top punt returners in the NFL. In college football. He came to the NFL. What did Bill Parcells do? Put him back there on punt return. Tried it once. Muffed it. This was in the preseason game. And this is all off memory, so it could be a little foggy. I believe he muffed the first one, and then he muffed the second one, and that was the last time that I can recall. Maybe at some point in his career they gave him another shot, but Parcells was like, get out of there. But he was electric with the ball in his hands as a defender and in college as a returner. And at this point, maybe better than what they have back there. Let's see. Thankful for no more heartburns with the kick returns. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's the standard is so low for so many things with this team that we look at the kick returners and as I said, like Braylon Allen to me not ideal, but at the same time I'm like, well, he didn't fumble. Like, I'll take it. That's most teams are hoping for a big return. Jets fans are just holding their breath, thinking, don't cough it up. It can be pretty frustrating. Let's see. Harlan says, doesn't 99% of the fan base criticize Douglas for drafting Becton over Wirfs? So let's keep it consistent. Mougey's made more mistakes in one offseason than JD had. Well, a little early, Mike. I get it. There's some concerns with Mougey, but he's it's way too. It's 3 games. It's 3 games. I get that we're frustrated, we're aggravated because this team is driving us out of our collective minds. They really are. So that's where the Jets are at now. Let's recap the. I think I talked about Ben Neiman, talked about Jarvis Brownlee. I think that covered it all. I think that covers all of the moves for the Jets. They, of course, play Monday night this week. So we will might pop on. What day is today? I can't keep track of my days. It's like Wednesday, maybe? I think it's Tuesday. Whatever day it is, we'll be back very shortly within the next 24, 48 hours to preview the Monday night game against the Dolphins, which, tell you what, at the rate Jets defenders are missing tackles, I look at Devin Achane, and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, if they don't clean this up, Tyreek Hill, like, guys, the thing is, the Dolphins are bad, right? There's no getting around that. But so are the Jets. Those Monday night lights come on. You're the only game in town. Well, actually, there is a second game, isn't there? But you're still Monday Night Football. There's still going to be a lot of eyeballs on you. You're winless. You're hungry. You kind of you wake up a little bit. And when you look at Tyreek Hill and Devon Achane and the Jets' inability to tackle, it's not the most settling feeling. I can see this thing getting ugly if the Jets don't tackle. I mean, as most games will, but Miami, they love their speed, guys. Absolutely love their speed. So we'll see. Drum says he doesn't remember Glenn as a return man because he was a kid. Yeah, I'm actually gonna look that up when we're done with this, Drums, because I'm quite sure it was that stat probably won't be there because it was preseason. Couple of punts or a couple punt returns that he flubbed in the preseason, and that was it. Tony says, what happened to Spielman helping Mougey? Well, here's the problem with that, Tony. And I say this all the time when we're talking about assistant GMs and different football operations positions. We have no idea what's going on in those rooms. I know Rick Spielman didn't love Armand Membu. Thought he was too short to play tackle. And however, in Spielman's defense, because Spielman said that on his podcast before he had the Jets job. However, that was pre-combine, pre-pro day. So it's possible that Membu's listed height on his college, the Mizzou roster may have been less than what it actually was when he measured in. And Spielman just said there's certain numbers, there's certain thresholds. Like, his point at the time was how many starting tackles are under 6'4" in the NFL. Like, it doesn't happen. You don't see it. It's like you'll find one or two. It's the rarity. So he didn't say Membu couldn't play. He just thought, he might have guard size. I don't know. So yeah, we just don't know. I love Spielman, big fan of his show, like his thought process, love his dedication to the game, love his expectation of players to want to play the game. As he says, if I roll the ball out, are you going to play, or are you going to sit out your final college game and then skip the combine? He doesn't like any of that stuff. He wants guys who compete. Just an old school mentality that I agree with, and I like. I love the hire. Just have no. He could have been in Mougey's ear saying, "Hey, you need a wide receiver too. Take Tedero McMillan here. Membu's a little bit short. Let's get a tackle later on." But the GM's the GM. He's the guy making the calls. So impossible to say. Hopefully these moves work. Like I said, it's super early. Even Arian Smith, you overdrafted him. There wasn't a person on the planet that I saw that had him going before day 3. And some said UDFA. You draft him because he's got all-world speed. The term I always use to describe him is a jackrabbit, because you watch him on film and he's just like, boop, 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 he's gone. Like full speed immediately, blowing past guys. And you throw him screen passes. That's it. We're going to draft this kid. We're going to overdraft him because we're going to make sure no one else gets him. We're going to grab him in the 4th round instead of the 5th, 6th, 7th, or UDFA. And we're going to, on an offense that's not moving the ball, we're going to throw him a screen. That as I'll give credit here. I mean, not that we didn't all see it. I believe it was Connor Hughes who tweeted out, the Jets are fooling nobody in America with these screen passes. The second they try to set them up, the defense is swarming. So nothing for Arian Smith. But that doesn't mean Arian Smith won't have a great excuse me. Doesn't mean Arian Smith won't have a great career. Doesn't mean he won't go on to fantastic things. Just means right now you have a 4th round rookie who you don't throw the ball to down the field, despite the fact that he's running the 4.2s or whatever the hell it is. He looks like he's running the 4.1s. So yeah, there's some frustrating stuff, but when you're losing, lots of stuff is frustrating. You win a couple games and all of a sudden everything's great and every move was brilliant and every pick was awesome, and that's just the way things go. Just the Jets fans haven't experienced the winning thing for a very, 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 very long time. Before we go, one more note here from GM Island Empire. We'll read this one. This is the year you'll see who's going to stick and who's going to be getting moved. Nobody at wide receiver to pick up. Arian Smith is too raw. Let him develop. Exactly. He's raw. I mean, I feel like get him in there, let him try to run a couple of goes. I've always said, let guys do what they do well and then develop the rest of their game. Arian Smith is a guy who can run past people. Let him try to run past some people. But haven't watched the entirety of the All-22, so it's possible he did. And Tyrod didn't see him, so I'm not going to comment on that entirely. Not much production from him. It's frustrating times, Jets fans. Very frustrating times. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for joining in the chat. All the questions, much appreciated. We'll be back, as I said, next 24, 48 hours to talk some more about Jets, Dolphins, what we expect out of that one. Have a good one, Jets fans.